Next up, ARM Limited is gearing up for its initial public offering with an ambitious valuation target of $60 to $70 billion, with a roadshow planned in September. One of the most interesting moves here is that's drawing the attention is the talks of NVIDIA and Intel being possible anchors for this IPO, along with other big players like Amazon, Apple, and even Samsung. Is this the right solution for ARM?
Well, we've been hoping to find a solution for ARM. I know SoftBank has been hoping to find a solution for ARM for a while. Essentially, they have an asset. It's a valuable asset. It's an important component of the IT industry, but they kind of need the money, and so they're trying to think of what can they do. I think an IPO makes a lot of sense for ARM. I love to see the idea of ARM as an independent company continuing to develop and continuing to expand as sort of an alternative chip provider, an alternative CPU provider. One of the things that gets me about this, though, is all the talk about AI and machine learning with ARM. Yes, ARM is important in those spaces. Yes, ARM is relevant in those spaces. But that's not the story here. The story here really is what you think it is, and that is that ARM is a valuable component that is designing chips that are going to be used by pretty much every device that you touch every single day. I mean, it's a powerful alternative to the x86 ecosystem. And ARM continues to be relevant even as x86 has made gains, even with talk of alternatives like RISC-V. ARM is still right there. The company has been trying to figure out ways of improving their revenue picture. And I think all of this comes into the same perspective, which is that ARM really needs to figure out how to build itself into a going concern for the long term, not just and kind of wipe out some of these questions that people have about the company's future. The fact that you are looking at companies like NVIDIA becoming an anchor investor is no surprise. They wanted to buy them after all, but Intel, Intel has worked with ARM for a long time. I could definitely see them doing that. I could see this fitting into the IDM strategy of Intel with manufacturing. Apple, Amazon, Samsung, it all makes sense. I think that it would actually be a more powerful entity if all of these big players and big ARM users were part of this IPO and part of the ownership of ARM, instead of ARM being a completely independent company. I think that that would actually help to sort of solidify its position in the market and keep any of these companies from exerting too much control, which is, I think, what people were worried about when NVIDIA was talking about buying the company. So overall, I'd say this makes a lot of sense. As for the valuation itself, I'm going to leave that to Wall Street, but I would not be surprised if ARM is a $60 billion company. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.